Do you think another area? Actually, I'm asking this question because it's some of a loaded question, primarily because you already talked about it in your special issue. So I know you're on board with this idea around leveraging maybe real world data in OBAs, which is outcome based agreements. Really, almost like something gets approved, or maybe conditionally, or whatever the mechanism may be, and then subsequently you measure the effectiveness of it in the real world, and in that way, it almost de-risk it for the insurer in a certain sense, right? Is that an area that you've kind of looked more deeply into as well?
Yeah, so not in my personal research, but we can kind of talk about those. There are two separate issues that you mentioned there. So there's conditional funding models and outcomes-based agreements. So conditional funding models is the idea that we're going to say, okay, look, we've got these 5 steps to go through: Health Canada, HTA, PCPA, the provinces. Um, as soon as Health Canada issues a DIN, a drug identification number, and approves the drug, then automatically the drug's going to get funded. It's conditional. It will get funded until those other processes have played out. And if PCPA ultimately says no, we're not going to negotiate a price, or before then the HTA process says no, we don't want this in the formulary, then the conditional funding stops and we're not going to have that drug in Canada. But that's a way of um, meaning, well, it means a number of things. It means that patients who have that disease are not penalized when there's an effective drug potentially out there while waiting for this process, which could take 2-3 years in some cases. Secondly, it allows real world evidence to be gathered through that time. So there is a thing at Health Canada when they issue their approvals, this NOC letter, Notice of Compliance. There is another version of it called an NOCC, a Notice of Compliance with Conditions, which is, yes, you can market this drug in Canada, but within 3 years, 4 years, you need to provide us with this additional data, whether it's another trial or safety data or something. And so the conditional funding model would be a sort of an HTA approval with conditions, if you like. Like we will fund this drug on condition that you get through A, B, and C. OBAs, outcomes-based agreements, are a little different. We've been kind of talking about wanting to see this happen for, I feel, for years. There are sort of murmurings that provinces are looking for novel approaches to drug funding. CADF, or now CDA, talk about also looking for novel approaches. So an outcomes-based agreement would be the idea of saying, okay, Lester, you've got this particular type of cancer and there's a new drug and it's really expensive and we don't know if it's going to work with you or not. So here's the deal. The drug company, we'll call them pharma, is going to pay for the drug for you for the first 3 months, say 2 months, 3 months. So no cost to the public payer. But after 2 or 3 months, we need to do some scans. There need to be some assessments to say, okay, is this drug working for you or not? If it's not working for you, well, you don't want to carry it on, because why would you want to be on a drug that's not working? I don't want to prescribe it to you, because why do I want to prescribe a drug that's not working and maybe causing some side effects? So we'll stop and we'll try something else. And the public payer is off the hook. They've not paid a cent out of taxpayer dollars for that. The company has taken all of the hit, if you like. But if after 2 or 3 months, oh boy, you feel great, the cancer's shrinking, no side effects or minimal side effects, you're doing well, we do some scans, everything's looking good, so we're going to carry on, then the government can say, okay, well, we'll take on the payment now. So the government has the benefit of knowing they're only paying for a drug that's working. You're getting the drug you need. I feel satisfied as a physician because I'm giving you a satisfactory treatment. The company's now happy because they're now getting paid for their drug. So these OBAs, they intuitively just make sense, don't they?
Yes.
At least when I explain it like that, I feel like, why don't we do this? but we don't do it. And we've asked and we suggested to various companies with particularly with drugs where there's like a 50-50 chance of it working. If it's a drug where it's 90% likely to work, then you might say, come on, government, just pay for this. This is a like historically a successful drug.
Yeah.
But if it's a lower chance, it just seems to make sense. But I don't know why PCPA haven't jumped on this, or maybe they are and we don't know about it, and they're looking at this with some files. And maybe you know of a file where this is happening. To my knowledge, this has not yet happened in certainly in cancer care. I don't know of any examples.